was just beginning his success by attending Temple University. He went on to graduate with a bachelor's in journalism and later received a certificate in fundraising from the University of Pennsylvania. This led to his first career as an edit researcher for TV Guide. He then moved up to become the editor of the publication house that managed Who's Who of the Delaware Valley. Ultimately, his career focus over the past 20 years has been on nonprofit art organizations as a cultural leader. His continued successes began with his career as the Assistant Development Director at Philadelphia's Walnut Street Theater. The next 9 years spent at the Art and Theater Company, he went on to managing fundraising, including million-dollar projects to enhance theater culture around Philadelphia. 2004 was the start of his 8 years with Art Reach, a nonprofit organization connecting underserved audiences with cultural experiences. There he oversaw organizational operations that provide over 15,000 of those underserved audiences annually with artistic events. He co-led the planning of Philadelphia's first Disability Arts Festival that occurred during the fall of 2007. This inductee launched Independence Starts Here, an awareness initiative for accessible arts programming that is becoming a national model. Currently, he is the Vice President of External Relations at the Greater Philadelphia Cultural Alliance. There he works to ultimately strengthen the cultural organizations to reach out to all audiences. His overseeing helps to generate a majority of the company's annual budget while inspiring the team members and earning their respect. For his initiative, leadership, and broadening of cultural experiences in the Philadelphia area, I am honored to introduce 2012 Octor Hall of Fame inductee, Michael Norris.
Thank you all. Thanks to the Hall of Fame Committee for this great honor. I'm thrilled to be here and have a chance to speak with you. One of the last times I was on the stage was over 30 years ago. Tim Mundy was here then too. And I was the student director of the school play that year, a lightweight comedy called If a Man Answers. And during the performance one night, I had to come on stage and make an unscheduled cameo appearance because two of the extras in a party scene were making a lot of noise and the audience couldn't hear what the lead actors were saying. And at that time, of course, I had no idea that that experience would sort of be the beginning of what would turn out to be a career in the arts and the beginning of my professional and personal engagement in the arts in the Philadelphia region. But when I thought about today and looked back on that moment, I realized it actually set the stage for my whole life in a lot of profound ways. I had always been attracted to the arts as a kid, mostly through reading and watching movies, and I knew I wanted to be involved with the school play when it rolled around my senior year. But I was the student director for a reason. I wanted to work backstage and behind the scenes. When you go to high school at the same time as your sister, who's an all-star athlete and a straight-A student, and your brother, who's a popular cut-up, you don't want to be in the center of attention or shine a spotlight on yourself, or at least I didn't. And so I was also fairly unsuccessful at creating original art of my own. I unleashed a lot of cringe-inducing poems on the world back then, which I hope Mr. Mundy has forgotten by now. But still, I was really attracted to the arts and to the creative process and the energy and humanity that you get when you see a movie or a play or go to a museum or read a book. And later, after college and after studying communications, I realized that I could actually apply my professional skills to this world that I was so engaged with on a personal level. And I also learned that while in the arts, most of the attention is focused on the artists, the people who actually create work, there are a lot of people who work backstage and behind the scenes to make that effort possible. And people like me who enjoy that get to be part of something bigger than ourselves and help the arts really show everyone a little bit more about our common humanity. And that's how I learned a really simple but powerful lesson about achieving success. Even if you're not the one who's getting all the attention or acclaim, if you do what you love, you'll love what you do. And that's been a pathway for me, and I think a real pathway to a successful life. If you work in the arts long enough, as I have, you inevitably hear things like, the arts are a nice luxury for people who can afford them, but they don't need to be accessible to everyone. Or, we can't afford to give our tax dollars to cultural organizations when there are people going hungry and living on the streets. Or, especially relevant for us here today, having art in school doesn't help kids learn anything they can use in the real world. I'd like to take a moment and dispel some of these myths. While the arts on the surface may appear to be a purely personal pursuit that doesn't touch anything or connect with anything meaningful in the real world, they are, in fact, critically important to our economy and quality of life and education. And there's a growing mound of evidence that proves that this is true. On Monday, the organization that I work for, the Greater Philadelphia Cultural Alliance, is releasing a new report on the economic impact of the nonprofit arts and cultural sector in our region. Here's a spoiler alert, it's big. Direct and indirect spending by our region's cultural organizations and their audiences supports 44,000 full-time jobs and has a $3.3 billion economic impact on our region. That's billion with a B. And right here in Chester County, cultural organizations and their audiences generate $91.6 million in direct spending and $67.2 million in resident household income. That's money in the pockets of thousands of Chester County residents, most of whom don't actually work in the arts. Chester County arts organizations also generate $11.2 million in state and local tax revenue, so that's money that our governments can use to deliver public services like police and fire protection, social services for people in need, and education. And speaking of education, for decades, study after study has shown that students who are involved in the arts get better grades, have fewer disciplinary problems, and are more likely to graduate. More recently, researchers are learning that participating in the arts helps young people learn skills like self-expression, creativity, problem-solving, and teamwork, which are essential skills in our 21st century knowledge and service economy. In fact, earlier this year, in a worldwide survey of corporate executives that IBM conducted, the 3 top desirable attributes of successful employees identified by CEOs themselves were collaborative, communicative, and creative, all skills that are taught by participating in the arts. And so to the students here today who are active in the arts, including my nieces, Rachel and Meredith, I say keep at it and enjoy it. You'll be better people for it, and the world will be a better place too. And to school board members and administrative officials here, I know it's a financially challenging time in public education, and you guys are being asked to make a lot of really tough decisions. I urge you to remember that arts programs are a sound investment in our students and a proven tool for many positive educational and social and workforce outcomes that serve students throughout their lives. I'd like to close with a quote from one of my favorite writers, John Steinbeck. Steinbeck wrote these words in a book called The Grapes of Wrath, which takes place in a period in our nation's history that bears some resemblance to our challenging economy today. And I first read these words actually right here in this room in an 11th grade study hall period. And they've stuck with me ever since as a really simple but profound expression of how coming together to listen and learn the way the arts bring people together is a great way to help us rise above adversity. Casey said, I'm going to try to learn why folks walk in the grass, going to hear them talk, going to hear them sing, going to eat with them and learn, going to lay in the grass, open and honest with anybody that'll have me, going to hear the poetry of folks talking. All that's holy, all that's what I didn't understand, all them things is good things. Being involved in the arts has given me the same desire to keep learning and listening. As you've heard, it's a desire that started here at Ocarera, in fact, right on this stage and in this very room, and that has continued long after my formal education is over. I hope each of you will discover the same desire within yourself, and no matter what career path you ultimately pursue, it'll be a pathway to success. So thank you again for this recognition and for this opportunity